Austin Cindric just gave us one of the most detailed breakdowns you'll ever hear, comparing a NASCAR Cup car to a supercar. And he did it with a comedy twist. If you've ever wondered how these two very different machines actually feel behind the wheel, stick around, because Cindric just laid it all out. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation news is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. So here's the background. Austin Cindric made a wildcard start at last year's Adelaide Grand Final, driving Tickford Racing's third Ford Mustang. This wasn't his first rodeo down under either. He previously raced in the Bathurst 12-hour, and early in his career, he actually tested Supercars equipment. So this guy has some real history with these cars. Now, during an appearance on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, Cindric was asked a simple question. Do the Cup car and the Supercar have any similarities? And his answer? Honestly, it's one of the best analogies you'll hear in racing. He said, and I'm going to let this one land the way he put it. If you looked at horsepower, the weight of the car, how they're designed, and the aerodynamics, on paper, they're not alike at all. But here's the twist. He said it couldn't be any more different for how similar they are. And then he dropped a line that's going to stick with you. It's like having twins, where one is a complete maniac and the other as calm as can be. That's a wild way to put it, but once you hear the details, it makes a lot of sense. Now, let's rewind for a second because there's actual context here. When NASCAR introduced its Next Gen package, people immediately started drawing comparisons between it and supercars. And that wasn't just fans speculating. NASCAR actually visited Australia during the Next Gen development process, specifically to watch the Gen 2 supercars in action. So this comparison has been around for a while, and there are real similarities on paper. Both cars share a sequential transaxle, centerlock wheels, and some overlapping aerodynamic philosophies. So you'd think, okay, maybe they drive somewhat similarly too, right? According to Cindric, not even close. He said the handling characteristics are wildly different from one car to the other. In his words, the supercar was the most driver input sensitive car he's ever driven. And then he described the Cup Series car as the complete opposite of that. He said it's very difficult to communicate with the Cup car because it just doesn't respond to a whole lot of inputs. So when you finally do find that sweet spot, you're basically hoping it's doing the right things. Now compare that to the supercar. Cindric said it's very pitch sensitive, especially over curbs and especially on street courses. He actually said he brought in his notebook, meaning he had to relearn how to drive a car over curbs and bumps because the Cup car just doesn't ask that of you, at least not to the same level. And here's where it gets really interesting. Cindric said he was pulling techniques from his rally car days, stuff he hadn't used in about 8 years. He explained that with the supercar, you have to forget the traditional apex entirely. Instead, you're shaping how the car lands, thinking 3 steps ahead, also you don't clip the left rear over the second curb. He literally said he hadn't talked about how a car flies in nearly a decade. That's how technical this driving style got for him. Beyond the driving itself, Cindric also spoke positively about the overall event experience. He mentioned the AC/DC concert and described the atmosphere as having a huge expo feel. Clearly, this wasn't just a race weekend for him. It was a full experience. So let's recap what we know here. Cindric drove a one-off wildcard entry for Tickford Racing at the Adelaide Grand Final. He compared the Cup car and supercar as similar on paper, but completely different in how they drive. And he pulled old rally car skills just to handle the curbs. Now, looking ahead, Cindric made it clear he wants to go back. He said getting to learn and jump in the deep end was a lot of fun, and he admitted he wasn't expecting to go in there and light the world on fire. Still, he feels like he represented himself well, but he also said there's a part of him that wants another shot, now that he knows so much more about how he'd approach that weekend, especially coming in as a one-off entry. In his own words, he'd love to do it all again. So here's my question for you. Based on what Cindric described, do you think a NASCAR driver could actually be competitive in supercars with more seat time? Or is the learning curve just too steep? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and stick with NASCAR Nation News. We'll see you in the next one.